Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about how to buy your first home. Pretty overwhelming concept, right? To be buying your first home. So I'm going to try and break it down from as easy as I possibly can from the very beginning, right? So first thing is, it's about your income. We're going to start with by the way, we got James behind the camera here. I want to make sure we talk about that. So let's talk about James. Let's use James. We're going to use you as an example today. How's that? Okay? Yeah. All right. So the first thing is, James has had his job for a little while, and he's making $75,000, $80,000 a year as a construction worker. Okay? He's working, and he's been doing it for a year or two now. He's in a steady place. The problem is he's living with his parents, and he wants to get out. Right? We all want to get out at that point. I think at some point you reach that level where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I got to get out of this house, right? So the first thing you want to do is, James is going to you're going to want to reach out to a real estate professional, right? And so first, how do you find a real estate professional, right? Honestly, somebody who's decent and who does a good job, right? So I always tell people, if you see, in your local community, you'll see the signs on houses and you'll see particular agents. Once you know to look for it, it becomes it's right in your brain, and you see it and you think about it. So you want to look for a company that's local, somebody who you know. And honestly, you can almost go in the door, but you could call, right? It doesn't hurt to call. I never really recommend you go through even though I've had lots of people who've done this, but I don't recommend you go on Zillow or one of those other sites and click, I want to see this home. I don't really like that. You want to have somebody who's working for you before you get started, right? So you find a company that's local to your market and they do a good job for you, and you go in the door, you call them and you say, I need a real estate agent, okay? And they're going to find you somebody who can help you, and they're going to do a good job for you. And you find somebody and you click with them. By the way, you don't have to stay with the first person you meet. I just want to put that out there too, right? If you find somebody and you don't feel warm and fuzzy, before you sign a buyer-broker agreement, that's an agreement that basically says that you're going to be my agent, right? Before you sign that, you want to find somebody who you like and you get along with and you can work with, or at least you feel you can, all right? And they're also going to be looking out for you. So once you find that person, you sit down with them. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to get you in touch with a lender. A lender is a mortgage guy, right? He's the guy that's going to help you get a loan to buy that house. Unless you got a ton of cash saved up and you want to pay cash for it, most people in these days really need a lender to kind of help them get through the process, right? So the lender, they're going to hook you up with somebody. I always recommend a local lender. That's kind of a thing. When I say local, somebody in your community that does this, because you're going to be, when you're negotiating your deal with the seller, you're going to want to have somebody local that they know of that does a good job, so they can say, okay, well, that's a good lender, and we can do business with them. So at the end of the day, we get set up with the lender, and they're going to pull your credit, right? And they always ask, what's a good credit score? Back when I started, the low end of a credit score was a 600, and I don't even think they can do it. It's 620 is the credit score. Now, if you see on your Credit Karma or all those other sites, you can get credit scores also. If you don't know what your credit score is, your banks usually will do it. Any credit cards that you have, and a lot of those companies will provide you your credit score. That's super important, so you know where you are, right? If you don't know where you are, you need to, because it's important to understand that. So once you know that you've got, James has got a 800 credit score. By the way, 800 is probably the highest you could possibly have. And so James is already going to be getting great rates from the lender. The higher your credit score is, the better the rates they're going to give you, okay? So it's important to maintain good credit. And we can talk about that in another episode, the whole thing, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to get approved for a dollar amount based on your income. That lender is going to say, okay, James, we're going to take a percentage of your income, and that needs to be your mortgage, okay? And that's how much you're willing to pay. And we're going to approve you for a $200,000 house. I don't know the numbers, but let's just say it's $200,000 house. Now that lender, once he says, we're going to give you a pre-qualification for $200,000, pre-qualification means that we're going to get just everything ahead of us, and we're going to know about what you're qualified for based on your income and credit score. That doesn't mean we haven't checked your all of your documents, like your past pay stubs, tax records, and things like that, that the lender's going to do before he gives you a final loan commitment. That's going to be something we're going to do at the end, right? That's when you get you settle on the house, okay? So settlement means you bought it, the day you buy it, you finally, So first thing we're going to do, the lender's got you situated, and he says we've got a price point. Now you're going to go back to your agent, the one that you got a relationship with. He's probably already knows this because he's probably already talked to the lender. But he's going to say, congratulations, James. You're approved for a $200,000 house. And here's the $200,000 houses in your price range, and the 175s and the 210s. Why the 210s? Because a good agent's going to be able to negotiate price down a little bit for you. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to give you these houses, and you're going to say, there's 15 of them. Holy cow, I don't want to go see 15 houses. I only want to see this one. This one's down the street from my parents. This one's down the street from my grandma, my girlfriend, my sister, my brother, my, whoever it is or where you want to be. So you pick that up and you go, okay, I want to see this house. Now we're going house hunting. Right? That's what we're doing as real estate agents. We're saying, okay, we've got a few houses for you to see. We're going to go check them out. So we go check some houses out. And this is not the part where you scrutinize the house. Everybody thinks they go in there and they're doing a home inspection. That's not what we're doing at that point. We're seeing the bells, the basic things that fit you. Location, location, location. Right? Most importantly is where is it located, where you want to be, right? Does it have the amenities you want in it? Is the community have the amenities you want in it? Amenities meaning like the things you like and things you need and things you want. Like it's got, new appliances, it's painted, it's fresh, new carpet, new hardwood, whatever it is. It's pretty, it's what you want. And then finally you say, hey, Chris, I love this house. I want it. I think I like this house. This is what I want to live in. Okay, so now we start the contract process, right? So the contract process is actually pretty simple. That day, the agent prepares a contract based on the sales price. We negotiate. We kind of put in what we want to ask the seller for, how much we want to offer them for that house. It may not be the full amount. It may be. Maybe you're willing to pay full price, and it is what it is. So we write that offer up, and then and you sign it. You agree to all the terms of the contract. One day we'll talk about a contract and all the terms of it. But we send that over to the seller's agent, and the seller's agent then presents it to the seller, and they say, yeah, I'm going to take it. Or, no way, I don't want to offer that. Or they say, how about if we'll take this? That's the negotiation process. The whole time we're trying to negotiate a deal for you and get you a good quality deal on the house. And the seller and the seller's agent and the buyer's agent are negotiating back and forth on your behalf. And we talk about that, what you're willing to pay and what you're not willing to pay. Once everybody agrees and they sign that contract and you sign it, we have a fully accepted contract. You're ready to buy. Now, generally, one of the things we do after that is home inspections. Although it's not required, highly recommend you do home inspections on any house you buy. I don't care if you're an investor or not. Do a home inspection. It'll pay off for itself. If that one thing is caught at the home inspection, then it pays for itself. But you do a home inspection. You hire a home inspector. Your real estate agent's going to help you find one. We get you situated, do the home inspection within a few days. And at that point, if there's any repairs or anything that you want done to the house, you can ask for them and negotiate them as well. Usually it's within the contract. Not always, but usually. So you come back, the seller's agreed to repair everything. Now it's just a waiting game. It's a waiting game because the lender now knows that he's working on your transaction to get that final loan commitment for you on the day of settlement. That's the day you buy it, right? So as the clock, you're just sitting there waiting for everything to happen. Usually it's pretty seamless, right? Because the lender's already pre-qualified you for that amount. He's just getting the ducks in a row. In the meantime, there's lots of other things that take place on our end, like there's an appraisal. That's where someone comes out and says, is the house worth what James is paying for it, right? And so he comes in and he says, other houses this size have sold for the same price. Check, we're good, okay? So that's super important too. It has to do with the mortgage and the loan process, but it's super important. So now we get down to, honestly, it's just waiting for settlement day. We have the settlement day and it's freaking a celebration. It's like you bought your first house, right? We go to the title company this is, here in Maryland, that's what we do. Not every state is the same, but in Maryland, you go to the title company, you sign off on all your settlement docs, all your loan docs, and all your mortgage docs. And by the way, you'll get a cramp in your hand because that's when you sign a lot of docs, okay? But once you sign that last one, those keys are handed over to you, and you're moving your stuff in that same day, right? And so you have your first weekend in your new home. You're inviting me over to have a party. It's all good. We're having a good time. But so, I mean, I know there's so much more that goes on in buying a house, but that's kind of like the brass tacks. Like, that's the very basics of buying your first home. And home ownership is such a big thing, man. Home ownership is the key to generational wealth, period. I don't care what anybody says. If you want to build your wealth for the future, real estate's where it's at. So with that, guys, I hope this was helpful. Don't forget, please, 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 if this was helpful at all, please subscribe, like, hit the little bell for notifications, all that stuff that you need to do. But whatever it is, I want to help you and see what I can do to get you to buy your first home.